So here is my overview of my talk. So first, I'm going to introduce ZAP-X unit and then share some of my experience, commissioning experience for ZAP-X unit, and highlighting end-to-end testing using standard imaging LUCY MR Phantom. And then lastly, I'm going to present some patient data. So our clinic has multiple stereotactic delivery platforms. We have a variant TrueBeam, Accuray Cyber Knife, Elekta Gamma Knife, and V-Ray Meridian system. So last year, we added another unit called the ZAP-X Gyroscopic Radiosurgery Platform. So ZAP-X was founded by Dr. John Adler. He's a neurosurgeon at Stanford University. And this unit was developed for stereotactic radiosurgery or stereotactic radiotherapy treatment, mainly for intracranial lesions. So you can treat benign, malignant, or functional or vascular disorder, or you can treat upper cervical spine lesions. So the treatment is mask-based. So, but our neurosurgeon, Dr. McDermott, he designed the frame. So clinical trial was done in Miami. So the frame is going to be available soon. So some unique aspect of the machine, one is self-shielded. So if you want to install this machine in new vault or new building, and your installation cost is going to be lower. And another unique aspect is machine has a gyroscopic geometry, so which allows multiple non-coplanar static beam. And some beams, that conventional LINAC cannot reach. So what is special about our machine is we installed our unit in a trailer. So on the left, this is a company quarterly news showing our trailer. So in the middle, this is what our actual machine looks like inside the trailer. And then the console is right here at the corner. And then the unit comes with the 2 treatment planning system. And certainly our neurosurgeon was the driving force to make all this happen. So when patient walks in, and this is couch is typically out, and then we set up patient and then send the patient in, and then the shell and the door are closed. So this spherical chamber and the shell and door create self-shielding during treatment. So, and there is a exclusion zone around the unit. So outside the exclusion zone, radiation level is pretty low. So during commissioning, we performed the radiation survey, and around, outside the exclusion zone at different gantry angle. So you can see exposure rate was all under 2 milliamp per hour. And then inside the unit, there is a LINAC. And then the LINAC is mounted on coupled gimbals and rotate around a common isocenter along axial axis and multiple oblique planes. So if you think about the principle of a gyroscope, so it rotates around axial axis, rotate around along axial axis, and then LINAC can move multiple oblique plane and rotate around. So LINAC has only one energy, 3 MV flattening filter beam, and Dmax is about 7 millimeters, and source to axis distance is 45 cm. And nominal dose rate is 1500 micrometer unit per minute. So underneath LINAC, there is a collimator, and then it has 8 different circular opening from 4 millimeter to 25 millimeter in diameter. So it rotates and then align the center of the collimator will align to the machine isocenter. And then output is calibrated in S80 setup at Dmax using 25 millimeter collimator. The table has a unique motion. So it's a 3 degrees of a freedom couch, but when table goes in, when we want to move the table left and right, patient left and right, it's using actually yaw instead of a translational. And then longitudinally, table can go in and out, that's moving patient soup and in direction. And then using pitch angle, remove a patient antipose. So what table does is each isocenter, move each isocenter to machine isocenter. So when planner plans, what we do is we place multiple isocenter to fill the target. And this isocenter is kind of similar to a shot in gamma knife. So the center of each isocenter, and then you can choose multiple different collimator size. So the center of each isocenter has to be at machine isocenter. So the table moves, and it's an isocentric delivery. So after like IGRT, you get some translational offset that is corrected by table, and then rotational offset is corrected by gantry angle. It's called the gyroscopic correction. So you can see you have a nominal gantry angle, like axial oblique angle, and then you can see the corrected angle after IGRT is performed. So it's only available DP 1011 or above. So the machine has a KB imaging system. So it has only one KB X-ray tube and one KB imager. So 3 images are taken for pre-treatment alignment at predetermined gantry angle, and then each isocenter 2 images are taken using beam angle, and then during treatment only 1 image is taken every like certain second, but default is 45 seconds. You can choose anywhere between 10 and 120 seconds. And then there is a MV detector. It monitors exit dose during treatment and compared with the pre-calculated dose. And this also used for Winston-Lutz test and analysis. So after installation is done, you can, perform acceptance testing with the vendor. So a vendor has a protocol, so you can follow their protocol. There's a dosimetry test, mechanical test, and imaging and safety test. And then you do commissioning. So commissioning can be pretty extensive, but not too different from any commissioning for any other LINAC. So you have some machine component, you have a TPS component. So a big thing is you have to collect the data. So beam data, PDD, and profile, and then you measure output factor, and you calibrate output in TGPTO calibration, and then you still need to measure some other things that acceptance testing didn't cover, mechanical imaging and safety. So once you get all the beam data, you enter into your TPS, and then you test your treatment planning system. You have a non-dosimetric test, you have a dosimetric test. Like, for example, you have to check, dicom transfer, all the functionality tests, and then, certainly you need a CT density table and enter, and then calculate, and then compare. So then once all this are done, you perform end-to-end testing using either you can use an in-house Phantom or third-party Phantom. And then you also need the independent dose calculation tool to verify your TPS dose calculation. And then you establish a patient-specific QA, and then routine QA, daily, monthly, and annual QA. And there are many publications out there you can use, task group, and then 106, and TPS task group report, and then even QA task group report. And very first unit was installed in Phoenix. They did a lot of early dosimetry and physics work. So you can look up, and they have a TPS commissioning publication, and TG51 and TG21 calibration, and also in data collection and how to do output factor and using different dosimeters. And then they also presented some machine performance over 2 years. So you can, if you're interested, you can look up. So beam data, we have to use a water tank, a 3D water tank, and you have to remove at the end of a couch and then install all this. So PDD and our profile was done in SSD setup, and then we had to convert to TPR, and then enter into TPS, and then output factor was measured in SAD setup at DMAX, and then certainly entered in TPS, and then you do TG50 calibration. We used the SSD setup, and then multiply the inverse square correction. So calibration is done in SAD setup, to tweak the output. So these are some data, PDD and profile, and you have 8 different collimators. So you have 8 PDD and profile. We measured, I think, at 5 different depths, and then 2 different inline and cross line. They call it ortho and wheel, and then 8 different collimator. So, and then we measured the output factor. We used 2 different detector and also perform some film measurement. And then we picked the microdiamond output factors measured using microdiamond. And then we ordered some TLD from IROC to verify our output was good. So, so we used 2 different setups. So on the left, this was a SAD setup at DMAX, and then on the right, we used a different Phantom. Both are provided by vendors, so we used a different Phantom. And then geometry this was not a SAD setup DMAX, so I had to calculate how much MU I had to deliver, but output was pretty good, within 1%, 2%. So once all these are done, we wanted to perform end-to-end testing. So following our treatment workflow. So this treatment workflow is pretty similar to any other workflow for exon beam radiation therapy. So patient gets MRI, and then CT simulation is done, and then plan is done, and then MD is reviewing, and then patient QA is done, and then pre-treatment imaging is done, and then treatment. So using that workflow, we performed the end-to-end testing using standard imaging LUCY MR Phantom. So this Phantom is a MR compatible. So a lot of Phantoms, you have to add water, but this one, it doesn't require water. It's pretty convenient. And then it has 2 film cubes, so larger one and smaller one. So you can insert film and then radiate it. And then there is a ion chamber insert, so you can insert ion chamber and then measure absolute dosimetry, do absolute dosimetry. So I took this Phantom to imaging department. We used the 3T MR scanner, and then we got MP Razy T1 space, and then back to our department, and we did perform CT simulation. You can see head cushion and then mask creation, and then all the images were imported into our treatment plan. Well, third-party treatment planning system, because this is what our all the physicians contour in. So fusion was also performed in Ray Station, and then I contoured the GTV and expanded 1 millimeter to get PTV. So and then performed the planning. So I created multiple plans. So single ISO plan for each collimator. So total 8 plan. And then I used the filament 2D detector for absolute dosimetry. And then I created a 3 ISO plan for each collimator. So plan has a 3 ISO, but each plan has this using same collimator size. And then I created a multiple isocenter plan with the multiple collimator. So that means I have a multiple isocenter, but using different collimator size. So, and then I delivered using film and 2D detector. So then each plan I ran independent dose calculation. So we created our in-house tool, web-based in-house tool, so we can run it and then quickly run it. It takes less than a minute, and then create QA report. those calculation reports, and you can see the percent difference. So, and then I created a QA plan for each plan, and then delivered using MapTech, and then compared. So you can see the result. So in our institution, we use a gamma criteria 2% 1 millimeter. So I was looking at it. So single isocenter plan for each collimator, and 3 isocenter plan, and then multi-isocenter plan. So they were acceptable. All were reasonably acceptable. And then the actual delivery. So I put this Phantom in the machine, and then insert it in the cube. Each one has a film. So I individually delivered. So from 4 millimeter to 25 millimeter collimator plan. And then film calibration done, and then I read the reading, and then compared the TPS calculated dose and film measured the dose, and then compared. Same thing, multi-isocenter plan. I radiated axial plan. Yeah, put the film in axial axis and sagittal axis, and then compared the read the reading dose, measured dose, and then compared. So it was within all 3%, which is pretty good. And then I also ordered the IRAG SRS Phantom. So it's a third party Phantom. So so result was pretty good. So what we reported versus what they read, TLD, there is a little TLD inside, so it was within 1%, and then there was a film inside, so they read the 2D. They did 2D analysis, but their criteria is pretty loose, so 5% and 3 millimeters. So it was all 100%, which I expected. So then, in terms of a routine QA, so we, during commissioning, we established our QA program. So covers daily, monthly, and annual QA. So, and then we published this paper. So table 1 summarizes daily, monthly, and annual QA, and what kind of tolerance we set internally, and then what kind of QA equipment we used. So many of the QA tools are provided by the vendor. So you can see daily output and monthly output or energy check, and then even laser check, and then you can do film dosimetry. And then, water tank. This is not provided by, you have to buy it, but majority of them are come with the unit. And then you can also build your own in-house tool to make your QA more efficient. So we actually followed the TG142, thoroughly reviewed TG142, what we can adopt, what we cannot adopt. So because the machine has a different characteristic, so certain tests we couldn't adopt. So for example, machine doesn't have ODI, so we cannot perform that test, and machine doesn't have a light field, so we cannot perform this test. So I listed all the tests we couldn't adopt, and then also on the right, I also listed what else we had to adopt. Mainly, I looked up also CyberKnife test group report, so we adopted from there, and then also there was some vendor publication, early publication. So I looked up and then implemented those. But some, biggest challenge of this, performing QA was we have a limited access to the isocenter, so physical access. So machine is all closed there, and then once table goes in, isocenter is inside. So physicists, a lot of times physicists set up Phantom, on the table outside, you retract the table outside the unit and then set up the Phantom and send it into isocenter. And then majority of the time you can do that, but certain tasks certain tests you cannot do. You have to be on the table, and for example, you have to set SSD or SAD. Yes, SSD or SAD. Then you have to be inside the unit or on the table. So, but if you are on the table, there is a table sack. So, I like to be inside. So that's biggest challenge, and then you need always someone else to help you. Yeah, retract the table or read the reading, a table position and geometry angle. So you cannot perform QA by yourself. So that was some challenges, but majority of time it's pretty straightforward, easy, and then you can set up Phantom on the table and then send it in. So we treated mainly meningioma patient, benign patient. So about 20 patients were treated, meningioma patient. We treated other disease too, but as of today, about 20 patients we treated. So I analyzed our data. So I divided into two groups. So first group A, 5 fractions patient, 13 patient, 25 grade. Patient received the 25 grades, and the single fraction patient received the 15 grade. And then I looked at PTV and was the group A, fractionated group. Between the PTV volume was between like 2 and 10, and then small single fraction on under 2 cc. And then we always try to meet. We have our institutional planning goal. So target coverage is always close to 100%, 99.5 or above. And then prescribed isodose line was close to what Gamma Knife can give us. And then conformality index and GI was pretty reasonable. All met our institutional goal. And then you can see how many isocenters we put to group, and then number of beams, how many beams we had, and then total MU. And then it gives you the plan. TPS will give you delivery time. So you can see to estimate time. It actually include the setup imaging time about 10 minutes, and then even deliver imaging time during delivery too. So this is an example of a treatment planning. Yeah, you can see 100% isodose line and 50% isodose line is pretty tight, even near brainstem. And then, so overall, so we looked back and see how many patients needed a break during treatment. So of 13 patients, group A is a fractionated one. Of 13 patients, they had of 13, 3 patients needed a break. So that means we had to take a mask off, and then patient had to get off the table, and then 10 to 15 minutes of break. And then but other 10 patients, they got through all without break. And then single fraction patient, they didn't need any break. So overall, so machine performance. So over a patient, all the patients tolerated treatment well. We never stopped the treatment. And then everyone finished their treatment. And then planning quality was met. Planning quality met our institutional planning goal. And then machine performance. I know Phoenix Group, they published a paper for 2 years. Over 2 years, but so far our machine performance daily, monthly, and annual QA has been pretty good. So here is my acknowledgement. We have a lot of team got involved in when we set up this new program, and then certainly ZAP-X team helped a lot. And then thank you for your attention, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Yeah, thanks, Cecilia. Let's see. I think there's some issues with Teams, but I have some questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you showed the smallest target size or volume that you treat. Do you ever treat trigeminal cases with ZAP?
Oh, we don't. So our primary radiosurgery platform is a Gamma Knife. So we only so far we only treated a meningioma or other benign patient, and then trigeminal we always use a gamma knife, and even we don't get many trigeminal patients.
I see.
As well. But if we have any, then we treat on gamma knife. But I know other centers, some other center, European centers, they have been treating trigeminal patient on this machine. Yeah.
And then what are you using for film QA? Do you have any software that you're using that you prefer?
Film QA. So when I performed we didn't have a good film QA software, so I had to use the ImageJ software to read this center of the target. Yeah, so I use the ImageJ, but I don't know any other, because we have some other imaging software tool, but I don't think that they have a good film analysis tool, like 2D, for example, like gamma analysis tool. I don't know they have it. So I just use the 2D detector, and then for absolute dosimetry I use the film. And you could use also ion chamber, because there is an ion chamber here insert. You can use ion chamber and then do absolute dosimetry. But I think the person is asking film dosimetry for patient QA. Was that patient QA?
It wasn't specified.
Okay, yeah.
For patient QA, so I see that you're using the SRS map check, and you do that for every patient.
Yeah, we do every patient, but certain centers, I think a majority of the centers do perform patient-specific QA, but I do know that some centers don't, because this is actually collimator. It's not, it's not, this machine doesn't have MLC, so beam is actually not modulated. So the centers that does not perform patient-specific QA that's probably their defense. It's a collimator and beam is not modulated, so we don't want to perform. But we do it because table is moving, right? Table is moving, and then certainly it's isocentric delivery, but table has to move, and then it's our sanity check. Yeah, to make sure delivery is good before actual treatment.